More than 1,000 Canadian firms applying for a potentially lucrative medical marijuana license in Canada. That's a license to produce the stuff. But the so-called green rush is feeling a lot like rush hour traffic for those who want to become a licensed producer. Just 2 new licenses were approved by Health Canada this summer after the rules were tightened around security of the crops. Now, one cannabis consulting firm, this is an emerging industry, is looking to help companies navigate the complex regulations. Joining us now is the CEO of Quantum 9, Michael Mays. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
You're based in Chicago, but you work with medical marijuana growers around the world?
Correct. We primarily work in North America, but we also have worked in France and in Holland.
And why would companies come to you?
Well, we provide a fair amount of permanent acquisition consulting, primarily around quality assurance, security, good manufacturing practices, and SOPs. So we help create the path in which venture capitalists or entrepreneurs are looking to acquire licenses from Health Canada.
Now, Health Canada has put in some notoriously tough rules for people who want to grow this stuff, very high quality standards, very high security standards, and they just made the rules tougher. There's been a couple of glitches, recalls of marijuana.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Health Canada is doing a great job, that's first and foremost. The program has lost a little bit of momentum, but that's only because Health Canada is doing their due diligence with understanding the background of licensed producers. So there's rigorous analysis being done currently on the quality assurance side of organizations, ensuring that the quality of the medicine that patients are receiving is top-notch.
Tell us about the vault. I mean, we were looking at some of these regulations. You got to have a big, serious vault, or at least a safe at your place to stop the bud being stolen, basically?
Yes, exactly. So the facility is required to have an industrial-sized bank vault in which cannabis will be stored. But there's also caging requirements for curing cannabis as well. And essentially what it is to deter theft and diversion into the black market by storing it safely and securely within the facility itself.
Tell us about quality assurance. I mean, the very tough rules on the chemicals you can use on this crop. So tell us, how difficult has that been for the nascent producers?
Well, when you get into industrial cannabis, there's a fair amount of integrated pest management solutions that you have to do prior to even spraying a pesticide on the facility. All of the environmentals within the room, such as humidity as well as temperature, have to be controlled, but there's only a very small approved list of additives as well as pest deterrents that you can even use on the plant, so it's very, very restrictive.
Now, we've heard that Canada has adopted a model here that's being watched by the rest of the world. Is Canada being very innovative?
There's some unique things about the Canada MMPR that are different than around the world.
What's MMPR?
The medical marijuana purposes regulations.
Okay, sorry, go on.
And they allow an e-commerce model, which is a little bit different than most, where historically it's been storefronts and so forth. So I would say yes, the world is looking at Health Canada for the way in which they address and license producers, as well as the way in which products being disseminated.
Now, if you're thinking of this is not a mom and pop business. You need maybe 10 million, maybe 20 million to actually open one of these big facilities.
Exactly. I mean, the financial requirements for pursuit capital and capital costs are quite high. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to build the entire facility prior to submitting a license, but it's something that will require tremendous capital.
But tell us about these places. It's grown under lights, it's indoors. That's the way you maintain the quality?
Correct. Our facilities that we design, we do a fair amount of schematics design. Typically, we actually have our cultivation staff go through a locker room in which they'll change out of their street clothes, they'll shower, and then gown into pocketless gowns. So before even entering a propagation area, they've completely removed any type of impurities from outside. So there's a lot of things within the facility that can be designed to prevent from, pests and pathogens.
We're almost out of time, Michael. I just want to get your take on this. Will the big pharma companies end up owning this industry, do you think?
Well, in any industry, capital is king. So in a situation where a pharmaceutical company has those types of resources, I wouldn't see any barrier of entry there.
Michael, thanks so much.
It was a pleasure.
Michael Mays is CEO of Quantum 9. It's a consulting firm that advises companies on how to set up commercial marijuana growing operations.